Hi everyone, I'm Louise Dempsey from the Literacy Place. I've been doing a lot of work over the last few months on sentences with teachers, and it's been really interesting supporting teachers with their understanding of sentences and how to really embed those in context and to support our kids to understand sentences. And the one thing I've noticed is quite a few teachers are a little bit unclear about what is a simple sentence, and in their heads they've kind of decided that a simple sentence is quite a weak sentence and we shouldn't be promoting it. But actually a simple sentence can be a really rich sentence with lots of information in it. So I thought I'd just make this little clip about what is a simple sentence. What is a sentence is really worth unpacking with kids and coming up with some really clear success criteria of what is a sentence. So you might just take a moment to think how you define a sentence. So a sentence is a complete idea. Yeah, it's one complete idea. It has to have a subject in it and it needs to have a verb in it. And kids need to know that the subject's probably going to be a noun. So a sentence can be a statement. It can be a question. And I think it's really important to point out to kids that a question mark does have a full stop at the end. So it does the job of a full stop. Likewise, it can be an exclamation and the exclamation mark has that full stop at the bottom. It can also be a command and it can be direct speech. So sentences can be different things. It is worth just unpacking verbs with students, and I try and keep my teaching of grammar really user-friendly for students and teachers. A lot of the definitions you read about verbs get quite confusing, and really the most common thing teachers say is it's an action word. So it's a doing word or it's the action in the sentence. Now that works really well until you come to words like am, which is not doing anything. So that to be family is really worth unpacking with kids because that's all our irregular verbs as well. And for our second language learners, those do cause confusion. So technically it can be an action, a happening, a process, or a state of being. So action words or doing words, obviously skating, gives, played, shouts are all doing something. Being words are not doing much at all, are they? Am, is, were, will be, etc. The other thing kids need to know is that often we have a verb chain. So it's usually 2 words, it can be 3, and it usually does have some version of the to be verb in there. Yeah, so was living, were playing, have been working. Now, this is not foolproof, but it's pretty good. If do you want to test if it's a verb or not, you can put to in front of it. Now, it's not foolproof, but it's a good sort of quick test of whether it's a verb or not. Obviously, you can't put to in front of am. Yeah, it doesn't work, but to play, to skate, to give. And kids need to know that every sentence and every clause must have a verb in it. Yeah, that's what makes it a clause and not a phrase. If there's no verb in it, it's a phrase. If there's a verb in it, it's a clause. Yeah, so a clause is a simple sentence as well. So our types of sentences. I think we all know we have a simple sentence, we have a compound sentence, and we have a complex sentence. So the difference here is a compound sentence is when we start putting 2 or more clauses together, and so is the complex. So the simple sentence has 1 clause, it has 1 verb in it. The compound, we are combining 2 clauses, or I say to kids 2 sentences, and same with the complex. So what makes it simple is it has 1 clause in it, or one, when you get down to it, 1 verb. A sentence can be as short as actually 1 word because when it's a command, we're implying our subject. So when we say stop, we really mean you stop here. But apart from the command, a sentence needs to have 2 words, a subject and a verb. And this is a lovely activity from the poetry book. It's the noun verb poem. And it's a lovely one where you choose a theme and you generate your nouns and then you link them with your verbs. These are some year 3 kids from Te Pāpapa School in Auckland. They did their weather poems with their nouns and verbs. So Serenity wrote us that poem. So you can kind of take this idea of a really simple idea like the rain drizzles and you can add information to it. Now, if you don't add any more verbs, you've still got a simple sentence, yeah? So this is a simple sentence. We have our subject rain, we have our verb drizzles. And a really good way to start adding to our simple sentences is using question words. So we could get the kids to add a question word like, can you add when to our sentence? Now that could be 1 word, yesterday the rain drizzled, or today the rain drizzles, but it could also be a phrase. So have a think about a when you could add to that sentence, and when is a really good way to start our sentence. So I could say early in the morning, then we need our comma, the rain drizzles. So if you start with one of these when words or when sentences, put your comma. What else could we add to it? So could we add a where? Where's the rain drizzling? Have a think about where it could be and where you could add it. Are you going to add one word or are you going to add a phrase? So I've got early in the morning, comma, the rain drizzles on the roof of the old cottage. So let's have a check now. I've added a phrase here, on the roof of the old cottage. Have I got another verb in there? Are there any actions in that phrase? No, so that is a phrase, not a clause. That means this is still a simple sentence. Same as early in the morning, that's a phrase. Yeah, there's no verb in that. It's an adverbial phrase telling us when. There's one more thing I might add. We don't want kids to think you can add and add and add, and that makes the sentence better. And we don't want kids to think that every question word is good to add to a sentence. They don't always all work. But the how is a nice one, because the how generally is going to give us an adverb that's going to tell us more about our verb. So remember, our verb is drizzles. So can we think of an how word? Probably it's going to end with ly, that tells us how the rain is drizzling. Once you've thought about that, think about where it might go in the sentence. So I might think about softly as my verb, as my adverb, and where I might put it is early in the morning, the rain drizzles softly on the roof of the old cottage. So I have added a when, a where, and a how. My how is just one word. My where was a phrase. My when was a phrase. But this is still a simple sentence because it still only has one verb in it, drizzles. I haven't added another clause. I've just stuck with the rain drizzles and I've added information to that. So a simple sentence can be as short as 2 words, which is fantastic for our older kids for adding that variety of sentence lengths, and short sentences are great for impact. And it can be as long as this, where we've added on 2 phrases and a word, but it's still a simple sentence because it still just has that one clause, the rain drizzles. So I hope that's useful. We talk about these little mini lessons being taught, where we teach the skills, then we look for these in reading so kids can see that exemplar of what it looks like, and then we take that skill into writing. So if you work with your kids on adding where to their sentences, add that to your writing success criteria and review it at the end of the lesson. So there's our little structure for the mini lesson. Learn the skill, practice the skill, review the skill. Link it to the activity you're doing in writing. So don't do it in isolation. If you want your kids to do those, maybe they're doing those descriptions around scene with weather, then that's what you're doing for your mini lesson. Add that success criteria to your writing lesson. And these mini lessons are short and interactive. Kids on whiteboards reviewing, sharing, as well as that explicit teaching. So don't forget the I do, we do, you do, the Pearson and Gallagher gradual release of responsibility. Really good in the situation where you're modelling and the kids are trying together, the kids are trying on their own. So that's all from me. If you want to look at other resources on mini lessons, if you look on our website, The Literacy Place, and go into our resources, there's some support in the mini lesson section on sentences. There's a sentence hook menu, which has different sentence starters, as well as resources to make complex sentences. Hope that was useful. We'll see you again another time. Bye for now.